Most businesses think they have a documentation problem. They don't. They have a decision problem that's wearing a documentation costume. That's what I mean. You can write the most detailed SOP in the world. Every step, every field, every click. And it will still fail in exactly the same place for exactly the same reason. At the point where someone has to decide something, not follow something, decide something. And most apps are silent right there at the one moment they're actually needed. I saw this play out clearly during my time in government operations. One team ran debt recovery, chasing outstanding payments owed to a public agency, and the SOP for this was genuinely well built. Every team member followed it, send the letter first, wait the required period, send the follow-up, escalate through the defined channels. On paper, execution was clean, but here's where it broke. At the end of the recovery cycle, some cases simply weren't recoverable. The person had no assets, no ability to pay, no forwarding address, whatever the reason. The SOP didn't tell anyone what to do about that. It told you how to send letters. It never told you when to stop. So nobody stopped because stopping meant making a judgment call, writing off public money, and nobody wanted to be the person who owns that decision. That default became keep sending letters forever functionally. These cases didn't get resolved. They got pushed to a corner of the system where they sat quietly, technically in progress until an audit came along and asked the obvious question: why has this case been open for 3 years? That's the patterns. The steps were perfect, the judgment was missing. And when judgment is missing, the system doesn't fail loudly. It fails quietly by accumulating exactly the kind of cases nobody wants to look at. What came out of the audit is the part I actually want to talk you through because I helped design it, and it's the same underlying logic I now use to handle cases or clients. I won't go into the specific organization, that stays confidential, but the mechanics of what we built are mine to share and they generalize to any business. The fix wasn't a better SOP, it was a separate layer sitting on top of the SOP, one that existed specifically to handle the moment execution ends and judgment begins. I think about it as three components. First, the trigger, the specific observable condition that tells you this case has left normal and entered judgment required, not vague, specific. In that recovery case, it was something like recovery cycle completed, no response after final escalation, no assets identified. That's a trigger, not a feeling. Second, the heuristic, the actual decision logic, not use your judgment, which is what most businesses write down when they don't want to write the real rule. The real rule names the factors that matter and the order they matter in. The eventual framework asked, what's the recoverable value across the cost of continued pursuits? And is there a reason to continue regardless of cost? That's a heuristic. It's not auto in the sense of a fixed formula, but it's teachable. You can hand it to a new hire and they can apply it the same way an experienced person would. Third, escalation with backing. And this is the part people skip. A heuristic is useless if the person applying it doesn't feel safe using it. Part of what made the post-audit framework work wasn't just the logic. It was that decision makers had explicit backing to apply it. Once people knew a documented sanctioned reason to write something off wouldn't come back on them personally, they actually started deciding. Decisiveness didn't come from better people. It came from a framework the decision safe to make. You almost certainly have a version of this right now, and it probably doesn't look like debt recovery. It might be a customer refund past the policy window, a vendor dispute your ops manager keeps waiting on more information for, a hiring decision stuck at let me think about it for 6 weeks. Look for the case that's been open the longest, the one nobody wants to touch, the one that keeps getting pushed to next week. That's your judgment gap live right now, and it's not a training problem. Telling someone to use better judgment doesn't work any better than in that case before the framework existed. What works is naming the trigger, applying the actual heuristic, the real factors in the real order, and giving proper backing to it. So here's the test. Pick a decision in your business that keeps stalling. Ask 3 questions. Is there a clear observable trigger for when this decision needs to be made Or does it just sort of accumulate until someone notices? Is there a written heuristic, the actual factors and their order, or does the SOP just say use judgment and stop there? And does the person responsible have explicit backing to act, or are they quietly absorbing the risk of being wrong? If you answered no to any of these, you don't have a SOP problem. It's actually a judgment problem, and it will keep producing the same results. Things pushed to a corner until an audit or a customer or a resignation forces the question you should have already answered. This is exactly the gap I go looking for when I run a 7-day process rescue for a business. Not just documenting what people click, documenting where they're actually deciding and making sure that logic is written down, teachable and back. If you want to see where your own business might be carrying this, I built a short diagnostic for this. Links in the description. The resignation risk score worth 10 minutes.